It's 4 a.m. on a freezing winter morning in 1250 CE, and you're a 19-year-old peasant in rural England. You stumble out of your cramped cottage that you share with your parents, 3 siblings, 2 pigs, and a dozen chickens, your breath visible in the frigid air. You haven't bathed in 3 weeks, but this morning you'll wash your face and hands in a wooden basin filled with ice-cold water drawn from the village well yesterday. Then you'll spend the next 14 hours working in muddy fields, mucking out animal stalls, and harvesting crops in clothes you've worn for months. Welcome to medieval peasant hygiene. It's not quite what you've been told. Today we're diving into what cleanliness was actually like for the vast majority of people in medieval Europe. And I'm warning you right now, this is going to shatter the popular myth that medieval peasants were filthy, unwashed savages who never cleaned themselves and lived in perpetual squalor. We're talking daily washing routines, surprisingly good dental health, sophisticated laundry techniques, elaborate bathing rituals in public bathhouses, and a genuine appreciation for staying clean that would surprise most modern people. The truth is far more nuanced, far more interesting, and far more human than the stereotypes suggest. Let's start with the morning routine, because the stereotype of the unwashed medieval peasant couldn't be more wrong. Your day: clean hands, clean conscience. The first thing every medieval peasant did upon waking was wash their face and hands. This wasn't optional. This was considered basic etiquette and a sign of self-respect. Bowls of water were kept in every household for this purpose. You'd splash your face with cold water or use a cloth, rubbing away the sleep and grime of the night. The shock of cold water against your skin served as both a wake-up call and a daily ritual of renewal. Hand washing wasn't just a morning ritual. Medieval people washed their hands before every meal, after every meal, and throughout the day whenever they handled particularly dirty tasks. This made practical sense when most people ate with their hands. Cutlery was rare for common folk. Your fingers were your utensils, and dirty fingers could make you sick. Even without understanding germ theory, medieval people recognized the connection between filth and illness. They observed that people who ate with dirty hands often got stomach ailments. They noticed that unwashed hands spread disease. Etiquette manuals are explicit. One 13th century French guide instructs, "Let your hands be clean and your fingernails well groomed." Another medieval text warns against touching food with grimy fingers or wiping greasy hands on clothing. These expectations extended to peasants who took pride in basic cleanliness despite their hard labor. The village well or stream provided washing water. In winter, you might heat a small pot over the fire, but usually you made do with cold water. Peasants bathed more frequently than you'd think. The bathing question: rivers, basins, and bathhouses. Medieval peasants did bathe. Not daily, but they bathed. Those living near rivers took quick dips in warm weather, especially after physical labor in the fields. The cooling water washed away sweat, dirt, and the aches of hard work. During colder months, bathing happened at home using a wooden basin or half barrel. You'd pour heated water over yourself using a jug, scrubbing with your hands or cloth. The very poorest made do with a top and tail wash, face, underarms, and genitals. This targeted washing focused on areas most prone to odor and was done at least once daily. For those in larger towns, public bathhouses offered a luxurious option that wasn't reserved for the wealthy alone. Working people visited weekly or monthly as a social event, their version of going to the pub. You'd pay a small fee, bathe communally while gossiping and playing games. These bathhouses used hot water and sometimes provided soap or scented oils. Bathing wasn't feared or avoided. It was valued and enjoyed when possible. The idea that medieval people thought water was dangerous is a myth from later centuries, not from the medieval period itself. Soap. A medieval invention. Soap was invented in the Middle Ages, not by the Romans, who used oil. Medieval people created actual soap. It started in the East and spread through Europe. Peasants made soap at home using wood ash and animal fat. You'd burn wood, collect ash, mix it with water to create lye, then boil that with rendered fat. The result was harsh, dark soap that could strip dirt from skin and fabric. It wasn't gentle and could cause burns, but it cleaned. Wealthier peasants might purchase Castile soap made with olive oil, which was gentler. Everyone knew how to make soap. For daily washing, peasants used plain water. Soap was saved for tougher jobs. Teeth. Surprisingly healthy. Medieval peasants had better teeth than you'd imagine. Archaeological evidence shows most people had relatively healthy teeth with minimal decay. The reason? No sugar. Sugar was rare and expensive. Their diet of bread, porridge, vegetables, and ale didn't cause significant tooth decay. They actively cleaned their teeth using rough linen cloths to scrub teeth and gums daily. For toothpastes, they used sage ground with salt, powdered charcoal from rosemary, or crushed pepper with mint and rock salt. Twigs also served as toothbrushes. Fresh hazel twigs were chewed until frayed, then used to scrub teeth. For bad breath, people chewed fennel seeds, parsley, or cloves. Medieval people valued fresh breath. Toothaches were treated by extraction with no anesthetic. But routine dental health was surprisingly good. Clothing, the key to staying clean. Here's the secret: linen undergarments. Every peasant wore a linen shirt or chemise next to their skin. Linen is light, absorbent, and gets softer with washing. It absorbs sweat and oils, keeping them from outer garments. Outer clothes were wool, nearly impossible to wash without ruining. Wool shrinks and loses shape when soaked, but wool is naturally dirt repellent. Dried mud brushes right off. You wore wool over linen. The linen absorbed sweat. The wool stayed clean. You washed linen frequently and wool rarely. Even the poorest owned at least 2 linen undergarments, so one could be worn while the other was washed. Clean linen was a mark of respectability. Laundry. Harder than you can imagine. Washing clothes was brutal, back-breaking work. No washing machines, no running water. You hauled water from the well or river. Multiple trips, heavy buckets. Then you heated it over a fire. You'd add soap or lye and soak the linens. For stubborn stains or to bleach graying fabric, you'd soak items in lye or fermented urine for hours or days. Both bleach effectively. After soaking, you'd take wet linens to the nearest stream and beat them with a paddle or against rocks. This pounding drove out dirt while rinsing away cleaning agents. Then you'd wring out water by hand and hang fabric to dry. The sun provided natural bleaching, which is why white linens were laid on grass for days or weeks. Oxygen from grass combined with sunlight created brilliant white fabric. Because washing was so labor-intensive, it happened every few weeks or monthly. Wealthier households with more linens went longer between wash days. Toilet facilities, the reality. Going to the bathroom as a peasant was straightforward. In rural areas, you walked to a secluded spot near the woods or behind a hedgerow, away from the cottage, well, and paths. You'd find privacy, squat, and manage your business. Some households had a simple cesspit with a wooden hut for privacy and a bench with a hole. The pit would be periodically covered or emptied and spread on fields as fertilizer. Chamber pots were used at night. these would be emptied into the cesspit in the morning. For wiping, people used hay, grass, straw, moss, or linen scraps. In towns, sanitation was worse. Shared cesspits served multiple households, and waste often ended up in streets despite regulations. Parasites and pests, the constant battle. Despite their efforts, peasants fought lice, fleas, and bedbugs constantly. Mattresses stuffed with straw provided perfect breeding grounds. Clothing harbored lice. Animals brought fleas. To combat pests, people used herbs like lavender, mint, and chamomile infused into straw or hung around houses. Clothing was hung near smoky fires overnight, so heat drove out bugs. Combs were essential. Made from wood or bone, fine-toothed combs removed lice and dirt from hair daily. Combing was so common that combs appear frequently in medieval burials. People recognized that parasites associated with poor hygiene. They lacked effective elimination methods, but fought constantly. Smells and fragrances, covering and preventing. Peasants knew they could smell bad and took steps to address this. Washing regularly was the primary defense. People also used scented oils and herbs when affordable. Rubbing aromatic herbs like rosemary or lavender on skin provided fragrance. Chewing herbs freshened breath. For homes, fresh rushes or herbs were strewn on floors and replaced regularly. These absorbed moisture and released pleasant scents when crushed. Peasants lacked expensive perfumes, but understood the value of pleasant smells. The bigger picture, standards and expectations. Medieval peasants cared about being clean. They had standards. Being filthy was associated with poverty, low status, and disease. Clean hands, face, and underlinen signaled respectability. Dirty people were looked down upon. Evidence is everywhere. Etiquette guides emphasize cleanliness. Medical texts connect hygiene with health. Literature uses cleanliness as a marker of virtue. Archaeological evidence shows well-maintained teeth and widespread use of grooming tools. Yes, medieval standards differed from ours. They couldn't shower daily or use fluoride toothpaste. They didn't understand germs, but within their constraints, they pursued cleanliness actively. The image of the perpetually filthy peasant comes from later propaganda, especially from the Enlightenment, when writers portrayed the past as barbaric. It also confuses medieval practices with early modern practices, when bathing attitudes became more negative. Why this matters? Understanding medieval hygiene correctly changes how we view the past and its people. These weren't ignorant savages living in filth. They were practical people doing their best with available resources. They washed daily with cold water because they had no plumbing. They wore linen undergarments because they understood layering kept outer clothes cleaner. They made soap at home because they needed it and knew how. They cleaned their teeth because they valued fresh breath and healthy mouths. Life was hard. Resources were limited. Work was physically demanding and made staying perfectly clean impossible. But medieval peasants maintained basic hygiene practices that would be recognizable to us today. Washing hands and face upon waking and before meals. Bathing periodically in rivers or basins. Cleaning teeth with cloths and powders. Changing and washing underlinen regularly. Managing waste properly through cesspits and fighting parasites with herbs and combs. They lived with smells and dirt that would horrify modern people. Urban areas were particularly foul, with poor sanitation, animal waste in streets, and open cesspits creating unbearable stenches. The contrast between town and countryside was stark. Rural peasants had cleaner environments simply because population density was lower and waste management easier. But this doesn't mean people accepted filth passively or ignored hygiene entirely. They worked within their limitations to stay as clean as possible. They valued cleanliness as a moral virtue, a sign of self-respect, and a marker of social standing. The next time you see a medieval peasant portrayed in film or television as covered in dirt with rotting teeth and matted hair, remember the reality. That peasant probably washed their face this morning, combed their hair carefully, cleaned their teeth with a linen cloth and sage powder, and wore freshly changed linen next to their skin. They valued cleanliness just as we do. They pursued it actively despite enormous obstacles. And they had more in common with us than we usually assume. Their hygiene practices, while different from ours in scale and technology, were driven by the same human desires: to feel clean, to smell pleasant, to be respected by peers, and to maintain health through basic sanitation.